So recently, Kyle Kulinski had talked about how Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur hate his guts. So essentially, he lost not only TYT's two main hosts as friends, but he also lost Jimmy Dore as a friend. So he is now kind of, I guess, feels liberated, is what it seemed like he was saying, because now he doesn't really feel any responsibility towards any side. But one of the things, and I might even do a separate video on this because I think that it's so important. But according to Anna's tweets, Anna and Cenk did not want him to enter into the beef, which is a big detail because if they were pushing him to get into the beef, that would be one thing. But it appears that they didn't want nor expect him to jump into the beef, whereas Jimmy Dore did. So you can imagine that after that second video where Kyle says that Anna did blackmail, I would understand why it is that TYT's main host would be pretty pissed off. It's very understandable, I would say, considering that detail. So that's an important detail that I do think needs to be known. But in the video that I did yesterday, breaking down Anna and Cenk going after Kyle after his appearance on Vosh where he talked about Jimmy Dore, Anna said something interesting, and what she said was interesting was that she actually is willing to reconcile with Kyle Kulinski on one condition. Now, I was wondering, are they genuinely going to beef forever? Because again, they're going to be in this political space for at least 20, 30 years. There's such huge presences online. They really needed each other. So I really just don't see how it's possible that they could just beef forever. I really don't see how that's possible. So I think eventually they're going to have to reconcile. So it was always a question, what would the logistics of that reconciliation be? So someone asked Anna saying, is it possible to reconcile if he apologized? And Anna's response is to say, yes, but he never did, but demanding me to randomly forgive him after the BS he pulled is mental. And for the record, Jimmy's punk A dragged him into something he had no business commenting on. He should be clear about that. Neither me nor Cenk wanted him involved. So this is also another important detail, definitely. Like I said earlier, the fact that she, at least what they're claiming, she and Cenk didn't want him to be involved, that's a really big deal. Because if Jimmy's pulling you into the beef, and then you make that first video, which was, I guess the first video was fine. I don't know what their reaction to the first video was. But, he basically had said he agreed with Jimmy politically pretty much. But when it came to the whole sexual harassment thing, he pretty vigorously defended Anna in that situation. So, I thought the first video was okay. But in the second video is where he felt a lot of pressure. He got 50-50 in terms of like to dislike ratio on his video, which he never gets nowhere near that bad. Then he lost 12,000 subscribers or something. So I think as he was feeling the pressure from the Jimmy Dore fans, I think he kind of caved in and gave in to some of the lies that Jimmy Dore said, which I'm not saying he's a grifter. Pressure is a pretty tough thing for people to handle, obviously, so it's understandable. So essentially what Anna here is saying is, all that I want is an apology from him, and then I guess it would be fine. Which is completely understandable to me. Again, consider the fact that it was Jimmy who was doing his common passive-aggressive, favoriting other people's tweets, addressing Kyle and BS like that. That's what he always does, right? He's a passive-aggressive loser. So he was doing that. They didn't even want Kyle to jump in, and then Kyle kind of backstabs them. I would understand why you would be angry about that and want an apology. And I think any honest person would agree with that. Any honest person, even if you're a Kyle fan, if they're saying all they want is an apology, that's really not much to ask, especially considering the circumstances. It's very understandable. Another tweet saying, seems like a stupid thing to keep dragging on while waiting for what? 10 minutes or less video apologizing and taking complete fault for every grievance Cenk and Anna are still feeling. That's just silly. It should be a thing they should be able to just drop and move on from. So that's not something you just drop and move on from. That is something where you just apologize and that's a wrap, right? Anna says, I would like Kyle and everyone else to shut up about this ish entirely unless Kyle apologizes to me privately for the dumb ish he said. Other than that, I literally never even think about Kyle unless presented with an opportunity to mock the dumb ish he said. Now, I don't know if I believe the second half of that tweet where she says that she's never even thought about Kyle unless presented with the opportunity to mock the dumb stuff that he said. I think that that's probably not true. I don't buy that part. But obviously, this is not something that is a big ask, I would say. Not only do I think it's not a big ask to be like, hey, an apology is just a good thing in that situation, or something that could really reconcile the situation. It certainly is something that is reasonable. And so the fact that there is this pathway to reconciliation, I really hope to see it. This, I think, is too far in terms of a split amongst the left, and I don't think that this is a feud that's going to last. Although, obviously, Anna and Cenk are very, very aggressive towards Kyle. Very, very aggressive. And if Kyle believes that what he said was wrong or what he did was wrong, I think eventually he will apologize. Like I said, I'm sure he's feeling liberated now, but he's also got to feel like there's a cloud kind of hanging over his head. And these are people who he's had a rapport with for, like a decade now. So considering that he's had a rapport for so long with them, they have such a huge presence on the left. I felt like they were really important to each other. Obviously, Anna and Kyle were very big fans of each other on YouTube. Cenk and Kyle co-founded Justice Democrats together. You know how big of a deal that is? And so you're just going to throw that away completely and just never, I would say time heals a lot of wounds. I'm not going to say all wounds. It heals a lot of wounds. And so I think that with time, I'm sure it'll happen eventually. It has to happen eventually. They can't just be beefing forever. But I definitely didn't think that I would see the day that TYT, Anna and Cenk would be just beefing this hard with Kyle Kulinski. It's kind of wild, I guess. It's kind of wild to think about. Like, I never thought I'd see this. Definitely not. Ever since before I even did YouTube, just when I was watching them, I definitely never thought that this kind of thing would happen. So another tweet says, the day that Kyle apologizes directly to you, Anna, is the day I will forgive him. That is what it takes. Anna says, I would accept it, but he won't do it. So at this point, I would say the ball is in Kyle's court. I certainly would not expect Anna to just quote-unquote drop it and move on. Again, I think if Kyle believes what he did was wrong, I think he'll apologize eventually. I don't know how long or when he's going to do it, but I do believe if he thinks what he did was wrong, he will apologize. Now, if he thinks that he didn't do anything wrong, then I think that he won't apologize because he's not going to say something he doesn't believe unless he's really, really heavily pressured like he was in the Jimmy Dore situation. So if this is the route to reconciliation, just an apology, I think it'll happen. I hope it ends up happening because this beef is just too much, and I think it's one that definitely needs to be, remedied. Certainly one. I think, and I hope it will be.